everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting yet another reading vlog for you guys, and obviously you already know who is joining me. Oh, she's fine. Miss Weenie. She's so excited to be here. So this is going to be a vlog full of books that I'm so excited to get to. Two of these are new releases that I've been waiting to jump into, and the other one, which I'm thinking I can get to in this video, is a continuation of a series that I've been loving this year. So let me just jump into talking about my TBR and then we'll get into the video. First of all is the book that I'm the most excited about, and that is The Geographer's Map to Romance by Andy Holton. This is, I've said this so many times, but this is the second book in the Love's Academic series, the first one being The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love, which I absolutely loved. I read it last year, one of my favorite books of the year. It is just a silly, goofy, historical romance rom-com situation, okay? And that is like, all of those words are buzzwords for me. So I've been so hyped to jump into this book. The publisher kindly sent me an early copy of it. This does come out on the 8th of April, I believe. So very soon as you're watching this video. But I'm gonna read it this week. I can't wait. I think I'm gonna start with this one just because I need to jump into it. I feel like it's just gonna be so fun. So I believe in this one. It's kind of like a marriage of convenience thing between geography professors, which I'm all for. So this will be one of the books that I read in this video. The other new release, I believe, came out in late February maybe, so about a month ago, and that is Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. This is a cozy fantasy type of story that I think has like found family. It deals with fae and folklore. It has to do with a lake monster whose name is Jenny Greenteeth, and honestly, I don't know anything else about the book. I have not fully read the blurb on the back. I don't want to know. I just read, you know, like the tagline, kind of, you know, the bigger text on the back. And it sounds like something I could really get into, something I could really enjoy. So I will also be reading this book in this video. And then the last one, I'm not 100% sure if I'll get to, but it is very short, so I feel like I probably can. And that is the next Murderbot book that I need to read, which is Fugitive Telemetry. This is, I believe, the 6th book maybe in the Murderbot series. So I'm skipping over 5 for the time being because some of you guys told me it kind of works better to read it in this way, so I'm putting my faith in you, and I'm gonna read it this way. I'll go back and read Network Effect, which is the 5th one, after I read this. But this is the one that I'm going to be reading next, and I cannot wait. I think this one is kind of like a murder mystery, maybe kind of situation, which sounds so fun, especially when Murderbot's involved in a murder mystery. Doesn't that just sound so good? I have loved the first 4 Murderbot books. They're just so fun. Such fast reads, but so engaging. Very big fan, especially as someone who doesn't, you know, read a lot of sci-fi. I love Murderbot, and I would highly recommend. So it's time for me to read the next one, and I cannot wait. So here's my TBR that I have for the coming week-ish. It's not exactly gonna be a full week, but, you know, none of these books are very long, so I feel like I'll definitely be able to finish all of these within this vlog, and I cannot wait. Also, it's such a stunning color palette. I did not do this on purpose, but they're all like green, you know? It's like the text on this one is green, and obviously these two are very green. I mean, I did wear this shirt on purpose because all of the books are green, but I did not choose the books because they were green, if that makes sense. Also, Winnie looks so funny right now. Yeah, she's just sitting. What are you doing? Back her up so you can see her better. Hello? All right. You can go back over there. So there we go. Those are my reading plans that I have for the vlog. As I said, I'm going to be starting off with The Geographer's Map to Romance, which I cannot wait for. But before I jump into some reading in this vlog, I actually am going to go do some book shopping this morning, which I'm quite excited about. It hasn't been that long since I went book shopping, but I haven't been to my half price in a while, so I decided I wanted to go, you know, scope things out, see what's up. I would also like to maybe pick out a few books to put on my spring TBR because I've been trying to put it together, and I'm just not feeling a lot of the books on my physical TBR for spring, so I would like to go get some reads that I think would be good for spring. So that's kind of my goal in going to half price, but I also just want to see whatever else they happen to have. So that's kind of like my immediate goal for the morning, is we're gonna go do some book shopping. So I feel like that's everything I have to share with you guys in this intro. I don't really have a ton of plans for this week aside from all of the reading that I'm planning on doing. Also, I feel like all these books are very cozy in my mind. Like, Murderbot's not exactly cozy because like it is a murderous robot, but like it is, just trust me in that it kind of is. So I have a lot of reading I want to do. I'm gonna be watching a lot of Buffy, still very much enjoying that. I'm also gonna do some journaling, pretty standard fare, although I do need to do a spread in my reading journal for my spring TBR, so I'll probably do that after I like have it all sorted and whatnot. And I'll do that in this video as well, so kind of just the stuff I always get up to in my vlogs, but I'm excited about them nonetheless. So with that, I'm going to go book shopping. I will then come back and get into the Geographer's Map to Romance. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this vlog, and let's get into it. Alright, hello and good morning, everybody. It is now Thursday morning. It is the first day of spring right now, which is very fun. It's actually a lot colder than it has been in recent days today, which is kind of ironic, but I am actually so happy that it's spring. Spring's like, you know, my third favorite season, but I still love her. Honestly, any season that's not summer, I will get excited for. So I feel like, to honor the fact that it's the first day of spring, I should make my spring TBR spread, oh my gosh, if I could get it, in my reading journal this morning. So that is what I'm planning on doing. I do have the perfect sticker sheet for it. I mean, how could there be a more perfect sticker sheet? You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna use that, and we'll do that in a few moments here. But obviously I have more updates and such for you guys before I get into some journaling this morning. First of all, I did go book shopping a couple days ago and I did pick up a couple of things. My intention was to get books that I could put on my spring TBR, and one of these I'm not like ready to read in the series, so I'm not gonna put it on my spring TBR, but one of them is, but we'll talk about it, okay? So I only ended up getting 2 books from half price, but both of these I've been wanting, so I was very happy that I found them. The first one being System Collapse by Martha Wells. Obviously, it's perfect that they had this book because I was going to be buying this at some point anyway. I believe this is the most recent book in the Murderbot Diaries. I don't know when it came out though. 2023, so it's been out for a couple years. But I'm pretty sure this has been at my half price for a couple months now because I saw it back in like early January maybe, and I didn't get it because I hadn't read a lot of books in the Murderbot series, but now that I've read like 4, and this one is definitely going to be a soon high priority TBR kind of book for me, I decided to go ahead and pick it up. I also just love buying the Murderbot books physically, like something about these tiny hardcovers, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I love them. Even though this one is a little bit longer than the others, this is one of the more like full-length books, I think. It is 243 pages, so not as long as Network Effect, I don't think, but it's definitely longer than like the novellas. There's one there, which is why I'm pointing to it. But we have System Collapse. I have no idea what's happening in this book, nor should I at this point, probably, but you know, I'll figure out when I get there. I have a couple books before I'm there, but I needed to pick it up, obviously. And then the book that I think I'm gonna put on my spring TBR is a book that I've been wanting to read, and I actually do own a book from this author. I just have not gotten around to reading it yet. Because every time I buy a book that I'm so excited to read in a certain season, I always end up procrastinating on reading that book in that certain season, and then I have to like wait until the season comes again, and it's a whole thing, obviously. But I do own Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, which I want to read in the winter. I just keep forgetting to read it in the winter. But I decided, you know, I'm gonna pick up another one anyway. So I decided to grab Uprooted, also by Naomi Novik. I'm really excited about this one. I've heard great things about both this one and Spinning Silver, so I've been very excited and wanting to read both of them. But for whatever reason, Uprooted is definitely giving me spring vibes, so I'm gonna put it on my TBR. I think this is the book where like every 10 years, this wizard that lives in a tower takes one of the girls from the nearby village. And that is all I know. The wizard is known as the dragon, and it keeps the wood's dark forces at bay. Everything about this just sounds like something I could really enjoy, so I'm very excited to read this, hopefully within the coming months. I also do just love the look of these paperbacks. Like, they just feel very fairy tale-esque to me. And I love just the spine, like everything about it's a nice book, you know? So I decided I wanted to go ahead and get a copy as opposed to getting it from the library, but very happy that I have this. And here's my little book haul. Nothing crazy, but they're both books that I've been wanting. So I feel like it was a very successful half-price trip. So there's my little book haul, but obviously I also do have a reading update for you, because I've started The Geographer's Map to Romance by India Holton. I'm obviously really enjoying it. I am now on page 75. I just reached chapter 6. So I don't know, I might be like a fourth of the way through the book. All I know is I'm having a great time. Basically, we are following our main character, Elodie, who got herself into a marriage of convenience type of situation. Basically, she overheard our other main character, Gabriel, having this conversation with this guy, and he was talking about how he wanted to move out of his awful apartment, and he found the perfect place, but they would only rent it to him if he was married. And his friend was like, well, why don't you just get married? And Elodie, overhearing this, was like, oh, well, I'll marry you. Just casually, as one does, you know. Now, her and Gabriel have known each other for a while. I think they met when they were like 18 going into university, and it's like, I don't know, 9 years later maybe? And they've kind of always been in each other's orbit. Elodie has definitely been very interested in Gabriel for a long time, but he's very quiet and kind of standoffish seeming a little bit, so they haven't really, you know, progressed to friends even, I don't think. But, you know, she offered to marry him and he was like, okay, yeah, sure. So they end up getting married. Everything's fine for like 3 days. They go to the woman who initially was not going to rent the apartment to Gabriel, and she's like, oh, sorry. Like, I already rented it out to this bachelor who like promised to give me massages frequently. So obviously the marriage of convenience is now kind of pointless, and you know, some things happen, miscommunication kind of things ensue, honestly. And 1 year later, they are now back to being standoffish, not friends, but still married. Because it is like the 1800s and they need a reason to get an annulment, and they don't really have one. So they are still married, still kind of just, you know, tiptoeing around each other. Apparently, every time Gabriel comes in her vicinity, Elodie like dives into a bush, or at one point she like dove out a first-story window to avoid having to see him. And now the situation that they've gotten themselves into is there is this magical storm event thing happening on the coast of England and Wales, and a letter is accidentally sent to both of them to come and address the situation because they now have the same last name. So they both get to the train station and they're like, what are you doing here? But they end up going together anyway because, you know, they both have train tickets. They're both gonna go and address the situation. Two magical geography professors dealing with it is better than one, I suppose. So they end up going to this village to kind of help out with the situation because some weird things are happening because of this influx of magic. So they're there, they're dealing with it, and that's kind of at the point that I'm at right now in the story. So I feel like there was a lot of setup, but it's a solid setup. I do really enjoy kind of the dynamic that's already been set up between our main characters. I love the like idiots in love thing that India Holton honestly has in all of her books, because all of the relationships she writes are just people that are like, oh my god, you're so annoying, and like, I can't stand you. But in their innermost thoughts that they don't want to address, they're absolutely obsessed with each other, which is, I feel like, the dynamic that is definitely present between our two main characters, which I absolutely love. It's also definitely got like that sunshine, grumpy kind of thing going on, because Elodie is a very talkative, bubbly kind of person, and Gabriel is really not. Like, they don't even banter adequately because he just gives her one-word responses to like everything, which I think is very funny. Like Elodie even said herself that like this man does not know how to banter. I also just, as always, love the ridiculousness of India Holton's writing. I've said this a million times, honestly, but if you don't like a silly, goofy book that's trying to be funny, don't read it because you're not gonna like it. But if that does sound like the kind of story you could get into, just something very fun, very lighthearted, very over the top, but in an intentional way, then you should pick this book up. I'm always just highly entertained by India Holton stories, and that is definitely the case for this book as well. I also love the setting of this book, which is increasing my enjoyment as well. They're going to the coast of Wales, I believe, and you know, there's like a magical storm happening. So thus far, it has been very gloomy and very rainy, which I obviously love. It also takes place in autumn, and there have, you know, been not too many, but like there's a little bit of autumnal imagery going on, which I can always get into, so I'm very much enjoying that. And I'm just loving it so far. I am unsurprised by the fact that I'm loving it so far. I basically knew this was a book that I was going to enjoy just based on everything that I'd heard about it thus far, and I definitely am. So that's how things are going. I definitely plan to read a lot of this today. I'd like to make a lot of progress just because I want to read a lot of it because it's been so fun so far. So that's definitely my main plan for today, is to read a lot of that. But before I get into that, obviously I want to do my little bit of journaling. I think I'm also gonna watch some Buffy while I do my journaling, which I'm very excited about. I mentioned that I was watching Buffy in my last video, and so many of the comments were just talking about Buffy, which I absolutely love. And for the most part, I'm continuing to really enjoy the everything that's going on in Buffy right now, aside from one thing that happened recently that I am quite upset about in like a genuine way. I don't like how it was done. But aside from all of that, it's been great, and I want to watch some more Buffy this morning. So that is plan number 1. Journaling is plan number 2. Reading, plan number 3. So those are my plans for today, and I will come back at you guys at some other point in time, maybe tonight, potentially, with another update on the Geographer's Map to Romance, because it has been so fun so far. right, so it is a little bit later. It's like 8:30 right now, but I am here. Also, if you can hear Winnie cleaning herself, I do apologize. She is so loud and apparently so dirty, but I'm here because I have an update for you guys on the Geographer's Map to Romance because I've read so much of this today. I'm now on page 220, so I think I have like 100 or so pages left, and I'm gonna finish it tonight. Like, honestly, how can I not finish it tonight? I can feel it in my bones that this is gonna be my next 5-star read. And I'm so happy about it. Honestly, I might be liking it more than the first one, just a little bit. But before I tell you guys more about this, we have other exciting news to talk about that does still pertain to this book, because I flipped to the end of this book and I saw that in the back there's an excerpt from the next book that's gonna be in the Love's Academic series. And I had no clue there was even gonna be another book in this series. I thought it was like this duology thing. For whatever reason, I got it in my head that this was the last book. So when I saw it was like, you know, next book in the series, I was like, what do you mean next book in the series? But I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I looked up the title. It's called The Antiquarian's Object of Desire, which, what a good title. What a solid title. And I looked it up, and apparently India Holton posted about this like back in September, but I'm just not on Instagram anymore and therefore very out of the loop. But the things that she has like posted about it, like just listen to what it's supposed to contain. It says fake hating, which I feel like all of these books have that. Dark academia aesthetic, stormy moorlands, ghosts, a secret society, Howl's Moving Castle meets Jane Eyre. Honestly, at this point, I don't believe a lot of books when they tell me that Howl's Moving Castle is a comp title, because most of the time it doesn't really ever feel like that. But I don't even care. I trust India Holton to not disappoint me, even if it's not like Howl's Moving Castle. Just in general, like even without that, I am so excited. Like the stormy moorlands and ghosts, just stop there and I'm into it. I'm gonna read it. I mean, obviously I was gonna read it regardless. But oh my god, I'm so excited. It says it comes out in spring of 2026. Like, this is truly the best news I've received all week. This is the best thing that I could have possibly seen. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I was when I saw that in the back of this book. I was like, oh my god. Literally no clue. No clue. I cannot wait. Honestly, spring of 2026 is gonna be so good because not only is the next book in this series coming out, but the 10th book in the Veronica Speedball series is coming out. Like, I'm going to be feasting next spring, even though it's so far away. But I can wait. I can wait. It gives me something to look forward to. But anyway, I digress. Moving on, we can talk about this book because, as I said, made some progress. Absolutely loving it. Like, I'm having just the best time, honestly. I feel like, you know, it's been a minute since I've read a book that I was just this excited about, a book that I was just having this much fun reading. And while I do want to prolong this reading experience, I also need to get to the point where our two main characters are back, like, officially in love so desperately. I need to see them admit that they love each other because, you know, they've been thinking it the whole book, but they're like, oh my god, like, they would never love me back, like, that would never possibly happen. Even though they're both so obsessed with each other, so I need to see the conclusion to their romance. I need it, even though I'll be sad when it's over. I am just too excited to not read the rest of this book today. But anyway, as for kind of what's been happening over the last 150 or so pages, honestly, like, not a whole lot. Because as I said, our main characters are in this place to just investigate the magical things that are happening, the magical mishaps that are going on. So the last 150 pages has really just been a lot of them traipsing around the Welsh countryside, dealing with all of these magical mistakes and explosions and just bad things that are happening, which I just absolutely love. Like, the vibes of this book are unmatched. Like, give me any book that is following like a naturalist or like a professor or whatever, just traipsing around this stormy English countryside kind of vibe. I'm into it. I feel like it's also kind of the reason I love, you know, like the first Emily Wilde book, because it is a lot of Emily kind of just like traipsing around and looking at things, which I feel like this book has also kind of been that a little bit in a different way. It definitely has a different tone to it than Emily Wilde, but like that general vibe, I guess I can really get into. And the fact that our two main characters are like doing this together and they have this, there's so much tension. There's so much tension between the two of them, which is so good. I feel like it's been a minute since I've read a book with this much yearning. It's like so good. Even though the book is, you know, very funny, it's supposed to be very ridiculous, whatever. I keep saying the same things about it, but like, you get it. The romance between them is still so good, and I'm just rooting so hard for the two of them. And even seeing the small moments between them when they, you know, it's just like, you know, they brush each other's hand, or like he brushes a strand of hair away from her forehead, and they're both like just so into it, and they're so just like dumbfounded by this small, like seemingly innocent touch. And I'm just like, oh, that's the good stuff right there. It's just so good. I absolutely love them, and I cannot wait to read the rest of this book because I mean, I've already said it. I feel like I'm just talking in circles now because I'm very excited about this book. Like, I will be so shocked if this is not a 5-star. I feel like it has to be. This is just like my kind of book, you know? And the fact that it's even more enjoyable than the first one, even though I loved the first one, like this one, solid 5 stars. I can feel it, guys. I can feel it. So I just love our two main characters. Elodie is just so fun to follow around because, again, she's very bubbly. She's very, oh my gosh, that scared me. Poppy just came out from under my bed and I forgot she was there, and she looked like a giant rat. Oh, I'm gonna make her say hi before she tries to run off. She is so not happy right now. Just look at the camera. No, she's not having it. All right, fine. I'll let you out. Before I was so rudely interrupted, I was talking about our main characters. I just love the juxtaposition between their two personalities. It's just so much more fun this way because Elodie, she's just so talkative. Like, all she does is yap, and I love her for it. And Gabriel is a very not talkative kind of person. He's very serious, he's very solemn, but you also do get his point of view at times, and even though he doesn't really say a lot, that man, he's thinking some thoughts, and he's absolutely obsessed with Elodie, and I absolutely love it, and I need more of that. Most of the time when you get like a male POV in a romance book, I'm like normally I don't really like it. Sometimes it can be done well, but I feel like most of the time I just don't enjoy it. But when the man is as obsessed as he is with Elodie, I'm like, yeah, that's good stuff. Especially when she's basically just as obsessed in return, but only in her mind, you know? And I feel like, you know, eventually that's gonna come to light. They're gonna like actually express that to each other instead of just thinking about it all the time. And it's gonna be so good, and I'm gonna eat it up. But until then, I'm just eating up the yearning, the tension. It's building. It's so good. I just absolutely love India Holton's books. They're so fun. They're so much fun. So I am going to, as I said, finish this up tonight. I'll be very sad about it. But like, I can't stop reading it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's been a minute since I've been so excited about a book. Like, I dare say I'm more excited about reading this book than I was about reading the third Emily Wilde book. And I was really excited about reading that one. So it's just so fun. It just reminds me why I love reading, and that is just the best feeling. So I'm going to go do some reading. I feel like I've said that so many times, so I'm gonna finish this book, and I will come back at you guys with an update soon-ish. Tomorrow, maybe the next day. We'll see. Good morning, everybody. It is now Saturday morning. I'm back with some updates for you guys. I've finished a book. I've read some of like 3 other different books. So we have a lot to talk about, but actually before we get into the updates, I have something more fun because I have book mail. I feel like it's been a minute since we opened some book mail together. Like I can't remember the last time we got to open a package together. I feel like most of the time I'm too impatient to wait to open them on camera and I like show you guys after, but I just got this in the mail like 10 minutes ago. So I thought, obviously we should open it. So let's do it. I'm very excited about this one. Oh, and I just got little cardboard bits all over me. That's so fun. All right, so I needed this book because it is my, oh my gosh, this is a nice paperback. This is my, what month is it? March Patreon buddy read. I've been stressing because I needed a copy of this book, but a lot of people are reading it right now, so I can't get it from the library. I don't like the red sprayed edges of the US hardbacks that are currently in store, so I decided to order the like international paperback or whatever this is supposed to be of Blood Over Bridehaven. And honestly, like the flop is pretty decent. Like it could be better, but I think it could be worse. It just feels like a very sturdy paperback. I really like this actually. So yes, we have Blood Over Bridehaven. I'm very excited about this one. I need to read it very soon because my Patreon live show for it is in like a week. It's a week from today. So obviously I'll be reading this next week and I'm so hyped about it. I feel like so many people absolutely love this book. They say it's like one of their favorite books, like a new favorite fantasy. I'm like, all right, cool, I can get into it. And I read The Sword of Kaigen, also by this author, in December. Loved it as well. So I feel like I'm also really gonna love this one and I cannot wait to jump into it. But yes, I was honestly just so worried that my paperback would not come in time because I was ordering it from like, you know, an international place, so I wasn't sure how long it was gonna take. But it got here pretty swiftly, so I am very happy about that. And this is just like, I love the cover of this book. I love the paperback. I'm a big fan. So there we go, a little bit of book mail for today. Very exciting. But as for other updates, because I do have quite a few, first of all, let's talk about the main thing that we need to talk about because I finished up the Geographer's Map to Romance and I am still giving this book 5 stars, which is so exciting. This is my second 5-star of the year. It's taken me 3 months to find 2 5 stars. So sad, I know. But it's probably not as aggressive of a 5-star as I was initially thinking it was gonna be, because even though I loved so many things about this book, I do have a teensy problem with the romance, which is why it's not like a 6-star read, because honestly, if it had just done a little bit more with the romance, it would have been a 6-star read. Still really loved it, still a big fan. Anyway, I'm just talking about it vaguely. Let's talk about it. So the only issue that I had with this book was the fact that even though I loved the romance, I loved the 2 of them, I loved their dynamic, it was so fun, I feel like these 2 did not have a proper conversation throughout the entirety of this book. The whole book, you're kind of just waiting for the 2 main characters to get to a point where they're comfortable enough with each other to like tell each other how they're actually feeling, and you're waiting for them to like talk normally instead of her just like yapping away and him being like, yeah, sure, and like nothing more. And then when you get to that point, you're basically at the end of the book and they still haven't had like a real conversation. I just think the romance was maybe a little bit better executed in the first book because the 2 main characters really had something to bond over, which was their love of ornithology. They had conversations about it. I feel like they really connected along their like questy thing they were going on, and I loved them. And I just wanted a little bit more actual relationship building from the 2 of them in this book. Like, even though I loved it, I can't in good faith say that it's like the best romance, even though I had so much fun with it, which is why I'm still giving it 5 stars, but like with a small caveat, you know? Because the rest of this book was so good, so fun, everything I was expecting from this book, it definitely delivered. I just wanted a teensy bit more with the romance, but still, like, I was having just the time of my life with this book. I can't not give it 5 stars, you know? 5 stars is a feeling, and that's the feeling that it was giving me. So there's that, but the rest of it was still so good, and I just had such a fun time with this book. Like, India Holton knows how to write a just, like, quirky, entertaining, fun romance book. Like, if that sounds like something you could possibly be into, I would highly recommend honestly any of her books. The Love's Academic series, the 2 of them so far, I enjoy a lot more than her other series, which I believe is called the Dangerous Damsel series, but they're both great. They're both gonna give you like the same vibes really, but I just enjoy kind of the setting and the types of characters that we're following in this series a little bit more, because we all know I love people that are like, you know, naturalists or professors or whatever. I eat that shit up all the time. And that is what this series delivers for me. But India Holton's writing is just so engaging. I also love that she I don't know how to phrase this, but the narration of the book will like reference the way that a paragraph is written. Like, for example, if there is a paragraph that has a lot of words in it that are in italics, the narration will like reference that, and not in like a corny way. I feel like it's done in just a very funny kind of tongue-in-cheek way, and I love when books do that. They like slightly break the fourth wall a little bit and do that. I've seen like the 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow kind of uses things like that, and so does Discworld by Terry Pratchett, which I just really love that this book also does that. So just in general, this is great. I love the vibes. I love the stormy Welsh countryside vibes. I love all the characters in this book. Just a big fan, despite my tiny problem with the romance, but it was still so good. Like, it doesn't ruin it. I just wish it had gone like a little bit further. I feel like maybe give the book 20 or so more pages for them to have a little bit of relationship building, but aside from that, it was still so good. And honestly, I want to reread both the first book and this one, and I probably will before the third book in this series comes out, even though it's not really like much of a series. It's more of like a, you know, romance companion series situation. So you don't really need to read them in any specific order, I don't think. This book did make references to the characters in the first one, but like if you don't know who those people are, it literally doesn't matter. So yes, loved it. I've already said it enough. I'll move on. So, aside from that, I did do some more reading yesterday because I actually, you know, I'm gonna talk about some books that I haven't brought up in the vlog at all. But just to let you know what I got up to, I did finish up A Perilous Undertaking finally. I started this book at the end of February, I think, and I had like 40% of the audiobook left, so I decided to finish that up yesterday, which was so fun, honestly. Like, I just had such a lovely afternoon yesterday listening to the rest of my audiobook for A Perilous Undertaking. I don't know, like something about it, I was living. Like, obviously I love Veronica and Stoker, but something about just being back with them in that moment, I was like, this is so good. And I just love the series so much. So I finished that up. And then this morning, also before I got into yet another book, I did listen to a little bit of A Treacherous Curse. I did that while I was putting up some things on my wall, which I showed you guys. I recently got a couple of new frames, and then I also just had a couple of other things that I wanted to add to my gallery wall. It's a very aggressive gallery wall these days, honestly. There's so many things on it. But I love it, and I love how it's growing. So I decided to do that, and I was listening to my audiobook for A Treacherous Curse. I only made it to chapter 3, so I'm on page like 22. So not a lot of progress, but I am just going to be listening to this throughout, you know, the rest of my week at least, because my live show for the first 3 Veronica Speedwell books for my Patreon read-along is not next Saturday, but the Saturday after. So I want to like have these done, so I'm not like scrambling at the end to like read those too quickly. But I'm loving this one too. I'm really excited specifically to reread this one because the first time I went into this book, I had some expectations that were not met. And I feel like now that I know they won't be met, I'll probably like this book more, even though I liked it the first time I read it too. But I just feel like it'll be better this time around. You know what I'm saying? So I read a little bit of this, and then the updates don't stop because I also read a little bit of Fugitive Telemetry this morning as well. I don't really have much of a sizable update on this, and I don't really like to give like midway through updates for novellas because I feel like I run out of things to say too quickly. So I'm not gonna say too much about this, but I like made it to page, where was I? I lost my bookmark. We're shocked, I know. It was on chapter 3, I know that much. So I made it to page 26-ish, so I'll give you a better update on this later. I'm definitely planning to read, well, all of this today, obviously. I feel like the Murderbot books are really easy to sit down and binge, so if you want a fun, fast series, might I recommend Murderbot, even though I've been recommending Murderbot for the last like 3 months, but you should really check it out if you haven't. But this one is like a murder mystery situation. There's a dead human body that was just like dumped on a deck somewhere, and I think we're gonna get a little bit of a murder mystery investigation with Murderbot situation, which sounds just so fun. So again, I'm not going to say too much about it. I will give you guys my final thoughts and whatnot after I finished it. So those are my plans for the weekend. It is currently Saturday morning, as I think I may have already stated, but my plans for the weekend are these 2 books. So that's what we're going to focus on. I don't really know what else I'm getting up to this weekend. Probably just some reading, which sounds good to me. So I will see you guys tonight, probably, once I have finished Fugitive Telemetry. Also, I just love the title of this book, like Fugitive Telemetry. It just sounds cool. So yeah, I will stop rambling and see you guys later. All right, hello. It is still Saturday, but it's about 10 o'clock now, and I decided to come back and give you guys a little bit of an update because I did finish up Fugitive Telemetry, so obviously we need to talk about it. I really liked this one. I thought it was fun. It was definitely a little bit of a different kind of format from the other books in the series, which I really enjoyed because you are following Murderbot as it is kind of helping along this murder investigation that's going on. And I just really ended up enjoying a lot of the things that you learn along the way. I really enjoyed seeing Murderbot kind of interact with the other people that were a big part of this investigation. And I also just love seeing Murderbot get way too invested in the lives of humans, even though it claims it does not care about them. Because initially it was only helping out because, you know, there was kind of something in it for Murderbot and the people that he is like actually kind of close with. But then at some point in the investigation, they ruled out this thing, and the reason why Murderbot was like sticking around for it, they ruled it out as an option. And Murderbot was like, all right, cool, it's time for me to leave. And there was like, actually, no, I'm not leaving. And I just love seeing Murderbot get way too invested in the lives of humans, even though vehemently all the time, it's like, I don't even care about them. Like, it's none of my business. Like, I'm not gonna get involved. And then it proceeds to get involved, which I think is so fun. There's also something that I thought was so funny in this book that I must bring up because it's not even like a huge part of the plot. Actually, it's not a part of the plot in the slightest, but I just really enjoyed this. Because I found the sci-fi equivalent of running away from all your responsibilities to go live in a cottage in the forest. But it says this character called her marital partners, and she said she thought the future of humanity was pretty dismal and that they should take all the kids, siblings, and their kids and assorted relatives and move to a shack in the terraforming sector on the unsettled continent and start working in soil reclamation. Whatever that was, which I just thought was so funny because that is literally the sci-fi equivalent of somebody being like, I'm gonna run off, go live in the middle of nowhere in the forest and like start a farm or something. So I thought that was really funny. And there are just a lot of things to Murderbot that I find to be very funny, but for some reason that really cracked me up this time around. So do I have anything else to say about this, honestly? Like, not really. That's a terrible update, I know, but I feel like I don't have anything else to say about it that's different from anything else I've said about Murderbot up until this point, but I really enjoyed this one. It was a good time, and I cannot wait to get into the other books in the series. I have 2 left at this point, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if, I think there's supposed to be another one coming out in the series, maybe, but right now there are 7 out. Pretty sure there's supposed to be an 8th, but I only have 2 left, although the 2 that I have left are the kind of longer length books, so I'm quite excited to get into those. I also did decide to listen to this one on audio, and I really enjoyed the audiobook narrator that they had for Murderbot. I feel like the voice just fit the series really well. I've heard good things about the audiobooks before, but I think this is the first one maybe that I've listened to, and I really liked it. But I picked up the audiobook because I kind of just wanted to like do something with my hands, I guess, this evening, so I did a little bit of painting. I'm not a big painter. I don't think painting is exactly one of my strong suits, but my grandma recently gave me these really beautiful frames and I want to fill them, but I don't have enough like art prints to fill them. So I decided I'm gonna try and fill them myself. So one of them I wanted to do some painting for. So I did this. I don't know what to put in this middle section. Like, it's too empty to just leave it like this, but I really like the flower border. So I'm like, what if I start doing something and it looks terrible and then I ruined it? So taking suggestions as to what I should put in the middle of this frame. But this is truly what I spent so many hours doing this, honestly. It's embarrassing, but I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I just don't know what else to do with it. But this is what I've been spending way too much time doing this afternoon. My initial plan was to paint some flowers on the border of an old mirror that I have because I was scrolling through Pinterest and I saw a video of somebody doing that. And I was like, I want to do that. And then I quickly realized I don't have the skill set for that. So I decided doing it on paper would be fun instead. So that's kind of where this idea was born. But yeah, that's kind of all I've been doing this afternoon. Not a whole lot, frankly, but just a quick update and a really bad update on Murderbot. I don't really have anything else that productive to say about it, I guess. So I'm gonna leave it at that for now, but it's currently Saturday evening. Tomorrow, I do have some plans tomorrow, so I don't really know if I'm gonna have a ton of time to read tomorrow, but we'll see, we'll see. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get into Green Teeth. Maybe. I don't think I'm gonna finish Green Teeth. I don't think I'm gonna have time to finish it before this vlog has to go out. So we'll kind of just see what I get up to, honestly. I've been trying to take a more relaxed approach to my vlogs this year, which I think has been very beneficial so far. Because I feel like last year I definitely fell into the trap of like, oh my god, I only finished like 2 books in this vlog. Like, people are gonna hate it. They're gonna think I'm like not trying hard enough or something. Even though the point of these reading vlogs is to just like capture what I'm reading and what I feel like reading in a certain week, and sometimes I'm just not gonna finish 3 books in the span of like 5 days because that's crazy. So I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to be chill about it this year. So I'm not gonna worry too much if I don't finish Green Teeth. I honestly might spend tomorrow finishing up The Light Fantastic, which is a different book that I've been in the middle of reading. It's the second Discworld book. Let me get it actually for reference. But I finally decided to get back into Discworld, which I've been really enjoying so far. I decided that I wanted to read the first 2 books in the Discworld series before I read any more of the other ones, just because I feel like they're good background to have. I know you don't have to start with the first 2, but I own the first 2, so I decided to read The Color of Magic last week, which was okay. I think I'm gonna do a March wrap-up, maybe, so I'll talk about it more extensively there. But right now I'm in the middle of The Light Fantastic, which I'm enjoying a lot more than The Color of Magic, just because I feel like it has a better, like, continuous narrative, I guess. Like, The Color of Magic is kind of like 4 different novellas kind of like smushed together almost, which it was still really enjoyable and I liked it a lot, but I just feel like The Light Fantastic flows a little bit better, and I kind of want to spend my time tomorrow finishing this up because I love Discworld. Like, I've only read 2.5 books in Discworld so far, but I love it so much. It's just so fun. So I'm kind of leaning towards reading the rest of this instead, just because I'm trying to let my mood just control what I read, because I'm a big mood reader in general. So I'm leaning towards finishing up The Light Fantastic instead of reading any more of Green Teeth tomorrow, just because I'm really excited about reading the rest of this, and that's what I'd like to do. So I might just focus on this. I don't know though. I could wake up tomorrow and feel completely different about it, so I just feel like right now I'm in a mood where I want to read literally everything, but I'm like, how do I physically do that? I don't know. So for the time being, I'm just going to focus on one of my current reads and maybe finish that up instead of starting a new book. I'm just feeling a little all over the place with what I want to read right now, and Green Teeth doesn't fall into that now that I'm thinking about it. So maybe I'll do this. Maybe I won't read anything tomorrow. Who knows, honestly. Again, I'm just trying to like be more chill with these reading vlogs because I just want them to feel fun. I just want to read the books that I want to read, and if I don't want to read Green Teeth, that's okay. And I, you know, keep having to tell myself that, even though it's like the most basic thing in the world to be like, it's okay if you don't read this book. But yeah, anyway, this is why I shouldn't film updates, honestly, past the hour of 10 o'clock, because I just start rambling. So I'm gonna go take my makeup off, I'm going to get cozy, I'm going to read some of The Light Fantastic, and you know, I think maybe I'm just gonna make this my focus for the rest of the vlog. I want to finish up this book. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow. I'm probably gonna update my Hobonichi in the morning, probably, because I haven't done that in a couple weeks, and then, you know, then we'll end the vlog. So that's kind of the gist, the plan for the rest of this video. I will see you then. It is now Sunday night and I'm here to finish off the vlog because I've done all of the reading that I am, going to be doing this week. I'm posting this video tomorrow, so we really gotta wrap things up here, but let me give you final reading updates. We'll do a little bit of a wrap up on everything that I read this week, over the last few days. And then we'll say bye. So, first of all, I did finish up today The Light Fantastic by Terry Pratchett. Really, really loved this one. I have been loving getting back into Discworld. As I said, I've now read the first 2 books in the series, and then last April, I believe, I read the 3rd one, I think. So I was kind of reading them a little bit out of order, but I decided to go back and read the first 2, which kind of count as their own duology in a way. And to give you a quick synopsis as to what the duology as a whole is about, basically we're following our main character Rincewind, who is this wizard, but he's not a really good wizard, really. And he ends up having to kind of look after this tourist that's kind of new to this area. There's this main city that our characters are kind of based in that's called Ankh-Morpork, I think. And there's this tourist whose name is Two Flower that's going around, and he's just really acting like a tourist, He's giving people too much money for things. He is giving them just ungodly amounts of gold because the exchange rate between his country and where he is going to in this book is so vastly different. So everybody he's been encountering, he's just giving them just mounds of gold that they could go buy a city with, and he's like, oh yeah, it's just nothing. But he introduces the concept of insurance to the people of Ankh-Morpork, and he's telling them oh yeah, if your building gets set on fire, we're gonna give you a lot of money for it, which obviously puts some questionable ideas into some of the people that he encounters, and somebody literally starts a fire and it burns down a lot of the city, basically. So Rincewind and Two Flower, they're hightailing it the hell out of there. They end up going on this whole big questy thing that turns into so much more than what they had originally bargained for. And these 2 books are kind of following them as they are just going on this journey, as they are running away from a lot of different groups of people that are after them at any given time. They come into contact with a lot of different people as well, and it is just so good. I've only read 3 Discworld books, but I love Discworld so much so far. It's a very kind of funny, absurdist kind of fantasy story, which I absolutely love, and Terry Pratchett's humor is just my kind of humor, to a T. It is very dry, but it is very witty, it's very irreverent, and there have just been so many things in these books that have made me laugh, so many situations that our characters get into. They're just entertaining, I also love the way that all of his books so far have been poking fun of and satirizing the fantasy genre. There's so many different fantasy tropes that kind of come up in stories like this, and the way that he kind of utilizes them and twists them and is just making fun of them, basically, I love as well, just because it's so smartly done. And I'm just a big fan of Discworld so far. I can absolutely see Discworld after I read more books, obviously, because I've read 3 out of, I don't know, 40 or something. I can absolutely see it becoming a new favorite series of mine. It's very classic fantasy feeling while still having very modern takes on the genre kind of woven into the story. I feel so many of the things that, even though these books were written primarily in the 80s and 90s, there's so many things that he touches on that are still so relevant today, which I think is just crazy. And I just love it. It's very charming, it's very witty, it's very kind of kooky at times, but very fun. Just a really good time. I feel I've said the word fun so many times in this video, I would like to apologize. I was looking back on the clip where I'm talking about the Geographer's Map to Romance, and I don't know how many times I said fun in that clip, but this is my PSA that I'm sorry. But this book is also really fun, and I cannot wait to read some more. I think Mort is the one that I'm going to read next. I think it's technically number 4 in the series. I'm not going to completely read the books in publication order, but to start out, I decided that I kind of would like to read them that way, just to get a taste of all the different series. So Mort is the first book in the Death series, and we have kind of encountered Death a few times in all of these books so far. And Death is just a very interesting character, so I'm interested to get into that one. But this duology was just delightful, honestly. It's very cozy feeling as well. I don't know, just something about it I love. So there's my little review of Discworld for you. I don't think the first two are like the best in the series. I think a lot of people actually recommend you don't start with the first two books. And, you know, I didn't think they were the best. I know I've said a lot of good things about them, but there are definitely like some points in the plot where, you know, they like drag a little bit and I'm not like the most interested. But like overall, like the bones of these stories are so good. I just feel like it's gonna get even better as I move throughout the series, so I can't wait. I have a bunch of other Discworld books already in these little mass market paperbacks. I bought them like in a lot last year, so I like to read all of the ones that I have on my physical TBR, and then I'll buy more and read those because I love these little covers, like just something about them I'm a big fan of. Like the illustrations are just so detailed and I love the colors. They're just, again, charming. But anyway, finished this one up. Really, really loved it. Very happy that I finally have read more of Discworld. But let me talk about the other books that I kind of finished and was working on this week. Obviously, most importantly, I finished The Geographer's Map to Romance. So fun. No, I'm sorry. I cannot say it's fun again. I retract it. I take it back. This was just a really good time. It was just a good old romp. I loved the characters. I loved the setting. I just loved the vibes of this story. And if you guys want a ridiculous historical rom-com, please pick this series up. I implore you. It's just, both of them are so good. They're so good. And then I also finished Fugitive Telemetry. Again, I love Murderbot. I feel like all of the books that I read this week were just like a series that I love and are really fun. So it's just a week of super fun reads, I suppose. I like seeing Murderbot kind of in a different role instead of like being a security unit for the humans. He's like, you know, helping with this investigation, which I thought was cool. So big fan of Fugitive Telemetry as well. And then I also read a little bit of each of the Veronica Speedwell book. So I finished up A Perilous Undertaking, and then I started A Treacherous Curse yesterday, and I also listened to a little bit of A Treacherous Curse while I was working on my Hobonichi spread earlier today. As I've said so many times, I love the audiobooks for the Veronica Speedwell series. If anybody has anything bad to say about Anjo Masters, fight me, because you're wrong. Yeah, that's kind of all of the reading that I got up to this week. I feel like I got to some good books. I just feel like I've been reading a lot of great books recently, so yeah, I'm happy that I was able to share it with you guys. I'm sorry I didn't get to Green Teeth. I'll get to it at some point in time in spring, I would assume. I feel like it's a good spring read, or it could be a good summer read. I'll get to it at some point in time because I am so really excited about that one. But like, you know, this week I just wasn't feeling it. But with that, I feel like that's everything that I have to share with you guys in this outro. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Obviously, I would love to know if you guys have read any of the books that I talked about throughout the video, any of them. We can have a little chat about them. Before we go, I also would like to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you're ever looking for more content from me, that is always linked down below. I do extra videos, journaling content, we do quarterly readathons. I've been doing a lot of reading sprints recently, and we have a book club, and I do live discussions for said book club. The one that we're doing in March, as I said, is Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Wong, and I'm so excited to get into this book. Cannot wait. I feel like everybody's been saying such good things about it, so I need to see what's up. I need to get into it, obviously, so if you want to come and join us, you totally can. But with that, I think that's everything that I have for you guys in this video. I really hope you enjoyed this vlog. As always, I had such a fun time filming it, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. I hope you're all having an amazing Monday or whatever day it is that you're watching this video, and I will see you all in my next one.